Inside Hilltopper Athletics is brought to you by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Here's your host, Lynn and Coach.
Welcome to Inside Hilltopper Athletics, football edition. I believe this is our 9th show, Coach. As always, I'm Lynn and I'm the Director of Athletics here at West Liberty University, joined by head football coach Roger Waialae. Coach, thanks for joining us again.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Wish it was under a little bit better circumstances, but that's the reality of life. So even before we talk a little bit about how the game transpired, let's talk a little bit about homecoming in general. So give me some quick thoughts on how homecoming went.
Well, and obviously I'm a little bit biased, but the atmosphere for homecoming games around here since I've gotten here in 1992 has been unbelievable. And I think it's amped up since the creation of the ASRC, the softball field being built, and everybody in the same general area in the ASRC parking lot, and going all the way down in front of the maintenance building. I mean, it's unbelievable how many people are here. The atmosphere that it provides, no matter who we're playing. And, I like it better this way opposed to when we used to put the tents on the practice field in those days. And the weather cooperated being this late in the season. That was the biggest question mark, and we couldn't have had a better day atmosphere-wise.
Yeah, you can't say enough about the weather, because I think all of us, when we decided, and it was really out of our hands, it's the way that the schedule fell, that we're thinking, wow, October 22nd, homecoming, could we get a cold snap? Could we whatever? But wow, it was 70 degrees. Don't know if you concur. I think it's probably the most people I've ever seen at a homecoming here at West Liberty.
Yeah, I really didn't, other than to me, everything looked the same, but I don't go through the parking lots. I'm kind of focused on one thing. I'm very narrow-minded on game days and don't really want to be caught up in anything else. And so I looked out, it looked the same walking down to the field, and obviously the crowd noise, all those things. And one of the added things, I think the stands were a little bit more full, but I think that had a lot to do who we were playing.
Yeah, and I think that probably is a contributing factor. But the reason that I'm probably guessing it was our largest crowd ever is, remember, we took out all of the family stuff, moved it to a different location, and still sold out every tent space in the parking lot. So we had people in the upper lot, people in the lower lot, and I do believe it may have been the biggest crowd since the playoff game.
Right.
Because not only was the stands pretty much filled, the whole hillside. Right. Lots and lots of students there, people sitting down, Coach Minch's softball group on that side. So just an incredible day. Started with the parade, get into the tailgating, get into the game, big crowd. And I think even when I saw in the local newspaper the article in the game, even I think Wheeling's quarterback was quoted, what an incredible environment to play a game. Right. So hats off to everyone that came out and joined us that day. Talk a little bit about the game.
Well, it comes down, the games that we've lost, it comes down to our Achilles heel, and that's the turnover factor. We have to win the turnover factor. We can't lose it 4-1 or 4-0, or, we have to be above in the turnover factor, and whether, stop turning over the ball or create more turnovers. And even in our wins, we've been sparked by the turnovers that we've been able to create. We're unable to create any turnovers. We tried to make some big plays out of a couple reverses, things like that, just to keep the momentum on our side. But, obviously it's too much to overcome for us. And they're a good football team. It's not like we're playing somebody that was awful. And, unfortunately, most places they pick who they want to play, make sure it's a win, those types of things. We've never done that here. We've always gone with the corresponding dates of where we had it in the past. And, every game is going to be a dogfight. Look at the conference this week. It's just unbelievable what happened to teams that lost, teams that won. I mean, but you're in a rivalry game. It's a toss-up anyways.
Yeah, we talked about even on last week's show about the parity in the league, and the scores reflected that again. You get a Pembroke team who we play next week, and we'll talk about them in the next segment, but they came in with 3 impressive wins.
Right.
3 really, really good wins. And then they get beat 70-21.
Right.
There's no rhyme or reason in our league right now.
Yes.
And you're right. Sometimes one big play can spark it. What I thought made that game so interesting the other day, Wheeling jumped out with the 2 big pass plays.
Right.
So they go up 14-3, and pretty much from that point until almost a half, I thought we pretty much dominated the game.
Yeah, we go through spurts where we play very well as a team, both offensively and defensively, and then it seems like we flinched a little bit when we had the first turnover of the game, and then it kind of led, it was even for the first couple drives of the second half, and then they went down and scored, and then we came right back and turned it over for a touchdown.
Right, the pick 6.
Yeah, we got to eliminate offensively the other teams scoring off our turnovers. We don't even get a chance to hold them to a field goal. I mean, we've given up a lot of touchdowns on the offense when our offense is on the field, and we got to stop that.
Yeah, it's so prophetic, meaning if you go back all the way to our first show, one of your keys was we can't let teams score.
Right.
When our offense is on the field.
Yeah, and we're dealing with young men that the emotions take over and the defense tries to do too much. They're trying to score, taking chances, and giving up big plays, trying to rob something, say, hey, just make the short tackle, come back, make the next play. But they want to win too, and whether we're trying all we can to get scores on the board, because the bottom line, the team that scores the most wins.
Yeah, and you had already mentioned it. It's not like you were playing a below-average football team.
Correct.
Wheeling's 5-2, 6-2, whatever they are, for a reason.
Right.
And they've had a really good season. And as we mentioned, you came back. We found a way to tie it up 21-21 after a lot of adversity, including when Wheeling went up 21-14. Your defense was ready to get, I think, their 4th straight possession,
right?
Getting them off of the field. You get the pass deflection,
right,
and it bounces 20 yards right into a receiver's hand, and they score a couple plays later. But second half, a little bit of a different situation. They finally got their offensive drive, scored to go up 28-21, followed by the pick 6, and it's just so demoralizing. It's hard to come back. And when I say that, that's not on any one player, one whatever. It's the reality of sport.
Right.
There's going to be big plays. So once they got you down, it's just so hard to come back. But disappointing loss, great day otherwise. I'm not even going to get into the game-changing plays. We just pretty much talked about that. Any other play maybe you want to reference? And let me interrupt you real quick. I do like, not that my opinion matters, but I did like the play calling. I like the reverses. We've had so much success with the kick return. I was even thinking in my mind last week, when are we going to reverse one off of that?
Yeah.
And then you followed it with a reverse, I think, in the next drive and made a big play with that. So,
and then that's the one thing my coaches let me do. They let me do kickoff return. So I was like, all right, we got them set up for a reverse. And, I, one of the players we lost for the season, Kadeem Richards, and he hadn't played a whole lot in the beginning because of injury. I think he touched the ball, and both times he touched the ball, he had an opportunity to score, but that's the type of player he is. And, look at the Notre Dame game, I think he had 3 catches and 2 were touchdowns. Then he was injured, didn't play for a while, finally got him back healthy enough to play. And the second time he touches the ball, he gets hurt. But anyways, when you're doing things successful on the football field, you have to build off of those success. Whether it's offense, defense, you got to schematically find something. Okay, now we're going to do this. They're going to counter. What can we do next?
Right. 2 big kickoff returns.
Right.
Probably stepped out 2 inches.
Yeah, it was on their sideline. I couldn't see. I mean, he actually had 1, 2. We had the reverse, and then Stevens had 2 big ones, and, normally they don't kick away from anybody, and they were trying to sky kick and do different things to try to get coverage down there.
Yeah, so that's obviously a big play. Unsung heroes, anybody you want to mention?
Ben Turner. The snaps, we had a problem with our snaps early. Our snapper had gotten injured. The first one rolled back. He had it's a true freshman, had the mind to pick up the ball and run in the end zone, get us two, instead of being a two. And that was a big play for us, keeping the momentum going. And then on the field goal, the snap rolled back, and he had the gall to pick it up, put it down, and get the kickoff, and we made it. A lot of times, other holders would have said, "Oh, no, I'm just going to run it," and he was able to get the hold down.
Yeah, that would have been probably my nomination too. And that's why sports are so crazy. We already mentioned they got the deflection, which ended up leading to a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Wheeling's probably saying the same thing. Bad snap. We're going to hold them to 6, and Ben Turner picks it up and outraces people to the end zone.
Right.
We get 2 and cut it to a 14-11 game at that point. But just an extremely unusual year in Mountain East Conference football.
Yeah.
We talked about the results, and it's been a different one. Tuesday morning quarterback. Any decision you would change?
No, I don't. I mean, really, I don't think there was any big. The only thing that I was contemplating is when they had the ball with like 8 minutes left, I was contemplating using my timeouts then, just because we were down 3 scores, and that was the only big decision. I was about to use one, then they got a big gain. I was like, no, you're going to waste it. That was the thought process, was more on the timing issues of things, and hindsight, I probably would have burned their timeouts.
Yeah.
Try to keep
Maybe.
more time on
I
the
think that is so tough. I'm a big clock management guy. I'm
Right.
always thinking, and I don't know if that occurred to me.
Yeah, but that was going through my mind when I looked up. We're down 2 scores at the time, and I think there was like 8:33 left on the clock when I looked up, and I was thinking, well, should I burn them now and hold them here and get more time because we need 2 scores, 3 scores to win? That's what was going through my mind.
Right. Got a big game at Pembroke, which we'll talk about them after the segment. But before we get there, how does your schedule change for this, knowing the distance?
Well, normally we do our walk through 48 hours. We're going to have to practice on Thursday because we'll be on the bus all day on Friday. And we're going to try to find some, obviously with high school football going on and where we have to stay, we might be walking through in the parking lot. And at this time of the year, it becomes more mental than anything else anyways. I think physically we'll be ready to play. I think we'll get there time enough to keep get our legs back, riding on the bus that long, you can get stiff. And I think we'll get there in plenty of time. I know for sure when we get them off the bus, we're just going to stretch them and do some things in the parking lot before we let them go to the room.
Yeah, this is probably the longest trip we've taken since when?
Probably since we went to McKendree.
Yeah.
So
that was a long one.
That was a long one. Central Connecticut was a long one. This one I know when we went down there last time, we actually left on Thursday night, and then after practice and drove half of the way down, and then the hard part is coming back really because we have to practice on Sunday to get ready for the game the following week.
Right. Well, all right. Well, that wraps up our first segment. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back to talk about our opponent for this week.
Disasters happen. Pick the team that takes care of them all. Powered by offices in Wheeling, Morgantown, and Pittsburgh, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration is ready to handle any size emergency at a moment's notice. We have the right people, knowledge, and equipment to respond 24 hours a day.
I'm Roger Waialae. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Hilltoppers call, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Inside Hilltopper Athletics is brought to you by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Here's your host, Lynn Coach.
Welcome back inside Hilltopper Athletics Football Edition. Second segments here. We always started off talking about our opponent. This week we make the considerable trip to Pembroke. So, Coach, tell us, what do we know about them?
Well, in my opinion, they have the best quarterback in the conference. The Jones kids are really good. Over the last 3-4 games, he's been their leading passer and leading rusher. He's a lot involved in the run game. He's able to make people miss and extend plays, and that's how they beat us last year. We went up late in the fourth quarter, and he drove them all the way down, and we had him dead to rights in the sacked a few times, and he was able to get out of the sack and able to complete balls. So that's the number one thing. We think they're, over their last 3 games, they could change. But over their last 3 games, they really haven't made any attempt to run the football. Now, last week was a little bit different because they got down so fast at Charleston that I think they were just throwing it just to try to get back in it and fighting the time, and ended up killing them. And they got out of, I think, what they normally do.
Yeah, I saw they lost to Charleston 70-21. How did that happen? What were some of the plays in that game? How does it get to that point?
Well, Charleston was getting big chunk plays and special teams plays and, a couple turnovers here and there. But when the score gets to that, they're scoring at, 1-2 play drives is when it gets that high, and then they're winning the field position battle. I know the first punt, the kid had like a 10-yard punt kicking out of his end zone. So, you're getting the ball in the red zone already, and that's how you score fast and get the ball back faster. Yeah. And, the defense played well. They were able to not so much get to the quarterback, but they were able to cover up the receivers.
Pembroke, prior to the 70-21 game the other day, they beat Frostburg, Wheeling, and West Virginia State. Had 3 consecutive wins, but it just goes back into the parity in the Mountain East Conference this year. Right. What about regional rankings? Did you see the first regional rankings?
No, I did not.
I believe Concord and Notre Dame. Now, the first one is alphabetical because they don't rank them in the first poll.
Right.
But Concord and Notre Dame were both in that list. Mm-hmm. I think there were 3 Northeast 10 teams maybe in there. So we'll keep an eye on that as that's going.
Right. Well, the way things are going out, if you look in our region, what's going on in the PSAC and the Northeast 10, I think for a conference team from us to get in, it's going to have to be through earned access. Just because, the Northeast 10 plays, so for some reason they play a closed schedule and they seem to get 2 teams in every year. But I imagine New Haven out of there, and I think the other one might be Assumption maybe, or is it American International?
I really can't remember. I'm old, Roger. I can't remember.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I'm just trying to go off of scores. I'm on the national poll with the Coaches Association. But anyways, at this game, those teams that have 2 losses are really in playoff mode. If they get one more loss, they have no chance because they won't be in the top 10 just the way the rest of the region's shaking out.
Yeah. What about defensively? What do we expect to see out of Pembroke on the defense?
Well, they do say, we're going to see some exotic coverages, meaning they're going to play some Tampa 2. If you beat them, you're going to have to beat them down the middle of the field. But the bottom line for us, we need to run the football again. So I don't care if it's 3rd and 10. When they start those exotic coverages, it's susceptible to the run game. So, we're going to have to plan some 3rd and, if it's 3rd and 12 and we're running the football, it's for a reason. And really, we're playing with a 4-man box because you'll see the linebacker at the snap of the ball just turn and run because they're playing Tampa 2, and he's got to get to the deep 3rd in the middle of the field. And so he's not even looking at the mesh or the quarterback or the running back. He's just running to a spot. And so those things up front, they're going to move the front a lot. They're going to stunt. They're going to slant. They're going to do a lot of different things. And, offensively, the offensive line is going to have to go through their steps and then really block their zones. They might be blocking. The man over them is not the guy they're going to end up blocking. So, that creates some problems because you got to be patient. You can't just fire it out and go get them. You got to go through your steps and because all zone schemes, and that's been our philosophy, and that's pretty much everybody in the country, all zone schemes become man schemes. But figuring out who your man is when the front's moving is the problem.
Yeah. Speaking of the running game, I thought we ran the ball well again the other day. Quincy Wimbish had a pretty big game, went over 100 yards for I think at least the third time this season.
Right, and that was, I guess, the most disheartening about the game is that we did run the ball well. They arguably have two of the best backs in the conference, 1-2 punch. We were able, they were both of them close to 100 yards a game, I think, and we held them in check, but we gave up the big pass plays.
Yeah, and I kept talking on the air. Football, get guys in space and hope you can shake a tackle, and that's what they did, and they did it effectively there in the first quarter, and I thought we tackled better after that, and we had a pretty good span where we played pretty well defensively. Right. So it's not like, and now I'm just giving a fan's view, it's not like there's anything major broke. I think you pretty much summed it up. You just cannot turn the ball over at the level that we turn it over and think you're going to have great results. And if we can clean that up, we would definitely be having a different season.
Correct. And that's really when everybody's evenly matched, that's what it's going to come down to. And, and I think we've talked about this before, is that the hardest position to play in all of sports is quarterback. And that's been, I don't think there's very much argument behind it. And a lot of times your season can depend on the decisions that the quarterback makes. And they're under, we try to take as much pressure off of them as you possibly can. But the bottom line is that when you're in passing situations and they're, so we got to make better decisions. And, what we need to realize as a team and everything is sometimes it's way better to punt the ball than it is to throw the interception. So, don't stop trying to take so many chances and let because our defense does play well, but I think emotionally, and that's why I try to get them off the emotion, I think emotionally they get down probably a little more than the offense when the turnovers occur.
Yeah, and it's getting back to quarterback play. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy, we wouldn't be watching guys getting paid millions of dollars on Sunday.
Correct.
Make those same exact throws at times.
Right.
So we know that and you played the position, and it's just not.
Well, it's fun. I come home Sunday after being up here, and my wife has football on. And I got to ask her. I said, Karen, please turn that off. Change the channel. Let's watch Christmas movies. She said, why? I said, I see them make the same mistakes we make.
That's a good point. Well, to lighten it up here a little bit, and I actually was going to bring masks for us today since it's Halloween themed, but out of respect, I'm a coach. I don't even like doing shows whenever I lose a game. So out of respect, I just brought the pumpkin instead. But let's lighten it up here. Let's talk Halloween a little bit. If you're trick-or-treating, favorite candy?
Licorice.
Interesting choice. I'd have gone for like the Hershey bar or the Three Musketeers. But
I'm a licorice guy.
Wow. Least favorite candy?
Oh, them wax things. I don't know if we're in California, Hawaii. They used to have those little wax. I thought they were wax. I don't even know what you call them, but they're in orange, white, and black, and you put them in your mouth. It's just like chewing on wax. I don't know what you call it.
Candy corn? Are you talking
about?
Candy
corn.
My daughter, Tessa, loves candy corn, and I tell her, I don't even know you. I can't even understand it. So I hated when I got candy corn, and I also hated candy apples. I'm not a candy apples guy. Yeah. So
candy corn, and then the second worst would be black licorice. I like the red licorice, not the black licorice.
Here's an Hawaiian question for you.
All right.
Trick or treat in Hawaii, is that a thing?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And, the thing is where, there's a lot of homesteads. That's where I grew up, and a lot of the homesteads in the west side, and they celebrate the same way. Probably even a little more than here because the weather's a lot better.
Yeah. When I was little, we had some cold trick-or-treat nights. I can
remember dragging my kids through the snow in Clinton Hills. I'm going, oh, my God, what am I doing?
Okay, let's test your knowledge. How do you kill a vampire?
Oh, my God. Silver bullet or a stake, right?
Steak.
Steak.
How do you kill a werewolf?
I have no idea.
Silver bullet.
Okay.
How do you kill a zombie?
Burn them.
You have to cut their heads off.
Oh, okay.
Have to cut the heads off.
I told you I want a big sci-fi guy.
I know, but these things, if they exist, you're in trouble.
That's why I don't think they exist. That's why I don't know.
All right, continuing. Who is the villain in Halloween in the movie?
Freddy Krueger, right? No?
No. Keep going.
Jason?
No, keep going.
Jason's the one with the hockey mask, right?
Yeah, he's in what movie?
I don't know. I don't watch Friday the 13th. All right. Then which one's Freddy Krueger in?
Freddy Krueger is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh.
See, getting back
Halloween.
To my weird family, my kids, even at their ages, one's graduated from college, one's in college, they still make an effort, and they're usually 31 for 31. They still watch a horror movie every day during the month of October.
Okay.
So, and if you would be at my house, we take it deadly serious, like fully decked out. So
the only movie I've watched actually two in the last couple months: Top Gun, the new one, and Aloha with Love. So I don't watch them sci-fi. I don't watch the scary. Who is the villain in Halloween?
Michael Myers.
Oh,
yeah, Michael Myers. So.
Right.
So if you ever see Michael Myers, you're going to know what's going to happen to you. Well, all right. Well, that wraps up this week's edition of Inside Hilltopper Athletics. Big game down at Pembroke here on the road as we strive to continue a decent season and get back on the winning side of things. For viewers, I'll remind we do not stream on the road because the conference under the blue frame format will do that. Kickoff is at 2:10 this week. Did you get the email?
10 to 3 minute media timeouts.
And 3-minute media timeouts at the end of the quarter. So if you're tuning in and watching, don't think something went wrong or it's halftime at the end of every quarter. And I'm assuming that's linked to their homecoming festivities and maybe sold sponsorships or something for the game. But a 2:10 kickoff and 3-minute media timeouts. But other than that, please tune in. We're actually on the road for 2 consecutive weeks. And then we finish up with the big home game versus Frostburg on the last game of the season. Happy Halloween, everyone.
The West Liberty University Sarah Whittaker Glass School of Dental Hygiene is dedicated to educating skilled professionals in the delivery of dental hygiene care. Our students gain experience in our on-campus facilities, including a clinic, labs, and classrooms under the supervision of dedicated faculty and staff. We prepare our students to meet state board requirements for licensure with options for an associate's, bachelor's, and master's degree in dental hygiene. Find out more at westliberty.edu/DH.